If you're like me, you came out of the theater after watching Last Jedi and thought to yourself, that was pretty dumb. But if you're not like me, you probably think it's dumb for the wrong reasons. There's lots of dumb things in The Last Jedi. People on YouTube have been talking about it for years now, and they've pretty much covered every single thing in depth. So I'm not here to talk about every single thing that's stupid in The Last Jedi. I've also watched all these videos a million times, just like you guys. But I do want to talk about two things. And I want to talk about why they're not actually stupid. Number one, Luke abandoning the Jedi. One of the things people were the most mad about in The Last Jedi was Luke randomly, seemingly going from being a hero who's, all positive and heroic in Return of the Jedi to being this hermit who is defeated and doesn't have faith in the Jedi Order anymore. And I get why people are sad that they don't get to see their hero on screen the way they always remembered him as. But I think in this case, it actually works for the story. Now, there's lots of dumb things that Rian Johnson does, for sure. But one thing I do appreciate is he does try new things. He tries to look at the same characters from different perspectives. And I think it actually makes a lot of sense that somebody who, throughout A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, discovered that his dad was a Jedi, discovered that his dad was the main bad guy, and then helped his dad kill the main bad guy and watched his father die in the process, and then go on to be the last Jedi, aside from all the side characters like in Fallen Order and stuff. And then he tries to start his own Jedi school, and then one of his own pupils, his nephew, who was the grandson of his dad, who was the main bad guy, ends up, getting enticed with the dark side of the Force, and they have a big misunderstanding, and Luke destroys everything, and blah blah blah. Like I get why that would be a little bit disillusioning, disillusioning. And honestly, Yoda learned the same lesson at the end of Episode 3. In the whole prequel trilogy, you kind of see that the Jedi are kind of just, one, they're part of the government, which sucks. Two, they have a lot of hubris. They think nothing bad can happen. They're constantly fooled by their feelings and by their senses. And then when Yoda goes up against Darth Sidious, he realizes how wrong he's been. He realizes, one, he cannot take on Darth Sidious on his own. Mace Windu and his guys didn't survive. I feel like what Yoda realizes in that moment is that the Jedi have missed the point the whole time. They were looking at things too black and white. Which is why it also makes sense when Yoda comes back at the end of The Last Jedi and he's talking to Luke. He kind of says the same thing to him. He's like, you know what? It's not the only way to use the Force. I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't hate it. It would have been cool to see classic Luke come back and have him be the hero that we remember. But I also think it's really cool that Luke has evolved and grown. He's changed, and for better or worse, he's turned into a new character. On top of that, I actually do like the Luke and Kylo fight. Him being in the Force the whole time is super sick. Alright, number two. This might be a little controversial. Well, I guess they're both controversial. Number two, Rey being nobody. I actually like this twist, and I don't think I'm not trying to say that just because I like it means that it's right, but kind of the whole point of the Force is it permeates everything. It makes sense thematically for the Force to not only be strong with people in the Palpatine or Skywalker families. Even back to the prequels, there are tons of super strong Jedis. And if you go to the expanded stuff like the Clone Wars TV show, animated shows, Rebels, Knights of the Old Republic, all these video games, there's lots of really strong Jedis all over the galaxy. So it makes sense that it's not just that family. I really wish they had stuck with that before they went to the third movie in that trilogy. But yeah, and it kind of cheapens it. But also it sucks because they definitely were setting something up in The Force Awakens. I don't think J.J. Abrams had really decided what he wanted to do yet. So it's kind of Force Awakens' fault, I guess, for setting that thing up. But I actually really like Rey being a nobody. But I hear what you guys are saying in the comments. Oh, Mike, you just like these. Mike, you just think these aren't dumb because you like them. So of course you think that they're not dumb. Like, it's the same thing as the other stuff. I think there's a huge difference between the other dumb things in this movie and those two things. One, on a base level, I think you can dislike a story element just because you don't like it. That's fine. You can dislike something for whatever reason you want. That's totally okay. I'm not here to say that you're wrong for not liking something. But I think sometimes we gotta be honest about why we don't like stuff. If we're gonna say something is objectively bad, it has to be objective. I think what makes something objectively bad is if it doesn't fit with the established story and the rules that the world has set up already, or if it creates plot holes or pops up out of nowhere when it's convenient but then doesn't apply later on. Things like that. And I think when you look at other elements in The Last Jedi that people have been hating on, there's a little different stuff. Like the Holdo maneuver. One, yeah, it kind of makes sense that obviously you could just kamikaze somebody. And at the same time, it does kind of break the universe a little bit because, like, well, one, why has nobody done this before? And two, now is everybody just going to shoot like hyperdrive missiles at people? You know, you could just autopilot a bunch of ships and point them towards the Death Star and you're good to go. So yeah, that kind of bothers me. Not as much as other people, but I totally see that one. You got stuff like Snoke. Snoke basically being nobody and just dying all of a sudden. It didn't feel like my expectations were subverted with something really cool. It felt like my dad had been hinting at buying me a Nintendo Switch for Christmas, and then all of a sudden, I got Mario socks. If you're gonna subvert our expectations, you gotta do something that's still amazing. Having Snoke be a nobody, and then kind of die unceremoniously, wasn't, in my opinion, that cool. Or Rose saving Finn at the last second. She undercutted a huge moment where Finn was gonna actually sacrifice himself for the Empire in a lose-lose situation. Not only did she ruin his moment and kind of undercut the theme, but she somehow went in a circle and went faster than Finn going in a straight line. Doesn't make sense. So what do you guys think? What do you think about Luke abandoning the Jedi? What do you think about Rey being a nobody? Were these things that you hated or loved in the movie? Is there any other part of the movie that you thought was good that everyone thinks is bad? Or is there anything that you think was bad that everyone thought was good? But one thing I think we can all agree on is that the third one, was it Rise of Skywalker? Rise of Skywalker just sucks. Everything they tried to do to undo The Last Jedi was total garbage. Yeah, let me know what you think. Bye.